Welcome to the Alldus podcast, Women in ServiceNow series, a brand new series dedicated to showcasing the incredible women leading the way in the ServiceNow ecosystem. With your host, Andrea Kis, each episode will bring you inspiring conversations with trailblazing women who are driving innovation, breaking barriers, and shaping the future of ServiceNow. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the impact of female leadership in the tech space, this podcast is your go-to source for inspiration and empowerment. Join us on this exciting new journey as we dive into the stories, challenges, and triumphs of the remarkable women making their mark within the ServiceNow ecosystem.
Today, I am welcoming Andrea Kis, who is the ServiceNow Strategic Partner Director at Capgemini UK. Welcome, Andrea. It's so great to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted, and thank you for inviting me. I really look forward to this conversation today.
Definitely. And my favourite question to start the podcast, because everyone's got such unique backgrounds within the ServiceNow market, is did you find ServiceNow or did ServiceNow find you?
Wow, not making it easy for me. That's a very, very interesting question. I'm trying to think back. I've been involved with ServiceNow since about 2011. Despite of my youthful looks, it feels like a very, very long time ago. I think it was a natural progression. So in my background, I specialized in service management consulting, and as a service management consultant, you pride yourself in knowing the latest and the best of different technologies on the market. So there was a time when there were different brands who were the leading brands, and you end up knowing everything about it. And I remember ServiceNow popping up in more and more conversations, different clients. In continental Europe, I was working with a client in Belgium, a client in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Italy, up in Norway, and of course in the UK, and they all had the same question. So what about ServiceNow? What if I move into ServiceNow? So I started to look into it to understand what is that the client was asking for, what is really ServiceNow. And in the beginning, it was just another, and I'm quoting it, how it was back in 2011, just another IT ticketing tool to learn about, to understand how IT service management would work in it. So I would say I found ServiceNow, and also ServiceNow found its way to me as part of the service management topics.
Amazing. And I've always loved hearing people's backgrounds as well, because you did something slightly different to technology when you were at university, didn't you? So maybe tell us a bit more about your background in that regard.
I always smile when this question comes up because I never in my life wanted to work in technology. So both of my parents, my father was a system administrator for our local town's mayor's office. My mother was working for the National Statistics Office, an Oracle database administrator, and working with technologies. And while I love technology, I never wanted to work with technology. I wanted to be out there on the fields in the most craziest places ever. So I studied to be an investigative journalist. So I studied written and digital media. And I had this dream of becoming the next person who may have a Pulitzer Prize of, discovering and uncovering incredible stories. And here I am, that many 20 plus years down the line, and working in technology and loving it.
So it was in your genes and it was bound to happen at some point, even if it wasn't the chosen direction to start with.
Exactly. It was the natural pathway. But again, I think lots of the skills that would have served me well in my journalist career really served me well in my role today. And this is something that I will cherish and I definitely won't lose.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe tell us a bit more about the kind of impact that you have in your role now at Capgemini. So tell us a bit more about that.
So I have a very, very exciting role and I really, really enjoy what I'm doing. When people hear the title alliances or partner management, it doesn't sound anything that exciting. However, I really hope that when somebody listens to it, they feel like, oh my God, this is the career I want to do. As somebody in partner management and being the partner director to work across with my colleagues on everywhere and every part of Capgemini in the UK and also in Europe, it's about building relationships, which is the number one priority of a good partner manager. Building relationships with everybody who is involved in any ServiceNow related conversation. And that could be the ServiceNow project teams, the ServiceNow implementers, the ServiceNow learning team. So Capgemini University is very heavily involved with ServiceNow learning. It could be the people who sell ServiceNow, and therefore they have a different type of interest or a different way of approaching it or wanting to understand the topic. But very, very importantly, it's about building relationships with your partner, making sure that you work as one team, you get to know each other, you understand what are the shared cultural values, what are the shared aspirations, and of course, down to the human level, how you as people can work well together, what is it that you want to do, and how you can go to your customers and bring a very human, a very humane an interesting approach where it's not about selling, it's about solving problems, it's about finding solutions, solutions where there is a technology like ServiceNow that
Yeah.
will help our customers to enable it. So I love seeing the change. I love being in a role where I have a bit of an insight to lots of different customers and clients across different industries and sectors. You walk along the street, you go shopping, you travel, you see all these brands, and we have this little insight: what drives them? What makes them work? And to use a very cheesy phrase, ServiceNow makes the word work, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the
And
same.
so absolutely, I think it's fascinating to build the relationships. Communication skills are very important to adapt and adopt to different ways of speaking with different type of stakeholders, people, personas, personalities, and then of course being always on top and on understanding how the market is changing, what disruptive technologies, what capabilities are coming out. There was a few years ago, it was all about the Internet of Things. Then people started talking about intelligent technologies and Gen AI, and it's everywhere now. But when you really go down to the bare facts of it, what does that actually do? In what scenario? How do we use it? And it's very important part of my role as well to understand the different sectors, understand the trends, and really understand everything about my partner and understand everything about ServiceNow without having to become the next system administrator or developer.
Sure. Yeah, and I was going to ask as well, obviously, stakeholder management has been a key theme across all of your different roles over the years. How do you really harness your ability to manage stakeholders in the way that you do, not just for the benefit of your customers, but for the benefit of your employer as well?
I always stay true to myself. So Capgemini is a brilliant employer. I think it's one of the very best employers I ever worked with. And here I feel that I can bring my authentic self to work every single day.
I
And
love
that
that.
helps. So when you harness the right relationships, when you're authentic, when you're able to find a common tone, when you're able to understand, the people around you you're dealing with, I never just say it's a client, it's a customer, it's a person, it's a human being.
Yeah.
Um, I like observing, I like listening as much as I love talking. And people always say to me, "You're such a chatterbox." Yes, I do love talking, but it's also extremely important to observe, to understand, to look beyond of what you may perceive. Don't let things like unconscious bias guide you. To really try to understand and pull up the folds and the different layers to see, to get to the core of a person, and in return to an organization, and that helps. You build better relationships, you're authentic, and finally be fun.
Yeah.
Never forget,
Sometimes you
never
got to remind yourself.
like never forget, and that's what I mean about being an authentic self of mine. Since I was a kid, I had a bit of a sarcastic sense of humor, and I just bring that sense of humor with me. I kind of, I think it's also a skill. It's something that you can nurture. You kind of get what makes people tick. What is it that people will end up like having a proper belly laugh at, or how you can story tell something, on how you can, I don't know, ask a question, or to really make people feel happy. And finally, I'm giving away a bit of a trade secret as well. We talk a lot about be kind, but really mean it.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me that they are not well or a family member is not well, I don't just give them a standard basic platitude. I actually say to them, oh my goodness, I hope you will feel better, let's not have this call now. Or I follow it up and check up on them. If somebody has a haircut, if somebody has something nice, or you just feel that somebody is having a good day, compliment on it. Make sure that you pay attention to your environment, pay attention to the people around you. And the rest is really just happens like magic.
Yes. I love that as well. I know, and as someone you've said yourself, you're not like a technical hands-on person, you're a people-centric person. And that's the beauty of ServiceNow. It can be accommodating not just to, the people that are coding, etc., but for people that are, focused on the value in, business relationships, stakeholder management, etc. So is there any particular advice that you would give for people maybe not with a technical background that want to pursue a career within the ServiceNow landscape?
Absolutely. I always want to encourage people to look at technology jobs as not just what you would assume a technology job would be, not just your, standard coder, software developer, administrator, so and so, but look at the human element in it. I use this word a lot today, but the
Yeah.
human elements are how do you build your relationships? How do you bring in a expertise in a certain topic or an industry or even just understanding how people need to change.
Yeah.
Here at Capgemini, one of my favorite teams I'm working with, a fabulous team who has this incredible experience of looking beyond the technology implementation to help with adoption. It can be scary, let's be real.
Yeah.
Somebody says to you, as of tomorrow, you have to use this brand new shiny new tool or platform, let's say the right words,
Yeah.
and it can be scary if you're not used to it. And having people around you, experts who are able to do the learning side of it, the changing, the adoption journeys. Another softer skill, which would be the business analyst side,
Yeah.
the relationship managers, anybody in partner management. I would even include something like a career in sales that's relating to ServiceNow, because you're not going to go and start talking about selling this license or a software. In fact, I jokingly always say to everybody, just like in that old film we all know and we love quoting about, the first rule of the club, the ServiceNow club, is you don't start your conversation with ServiceNow. You don't sell ServiceNow as a license or a software. In fact, I would give a challenge. If somebody is able to sell ServiceNow without ever speaking about ServiceNow, they're doing absolutely the right thing, because then the customers will end up with a fantastic solution that helps them
Yeah.
instead of looking at it how we bought another technology. So for those who are starting out their career, I would then advise to think about how you can uplift your skills,
Yeah.
just like I uplifted my journalist skills or uplifted my service management consulting skills, or even I used to even work on a multilingual service desk. So just think of how you can uplift their skills into a role within the ServiceNow ecosystem that will bring you joy, where you feel that you achieved something amazing and you really have a very fulfilling career.
I love that. And do you know what? I do speak to obviously a lot of ServiceNow people, and what I think is beautiful about the product is that there are just so many options out there for people. If you find what you're good at, what you're passionate about, there's somewhere within the ServiceNow space that could accommodate that and give you a really bright future as well. So I think that's great advice for people. And what about ServiceNow are you most excited about kind of in the near future in the next year to come?
So one of the things which actually it's not so fresh, but I'm still excited about, because I have met a few people, RiseUp. RiseUp,
Yes.
which was, I really like the name. It's actually a very energizing name. And what really excited me about it, and I think we really need to invest more, that it gives the opportunity to people who never in their life ever thought that they could have a career in technology. And let's be honest, the career in technology is quite a lucrative career.
Yep.
Technology related jobs are very well paid jobs. RiseUp gives that opportunity. Anybody. I could be a nurse with a vast knowledge of how healthcare works. And then I maybe just, I don't know, don't want to do crazy shifts anymore. And I'm thinking of a completely, totally different career change. RiseUp can help you do that. And that's for me is the power of how easy to learn about the platform, ServiceNow platform, that you don't have to have a very specific software architecture background that you can learn about. The other one is what everybody is excited about, of course, the Gen AI capabilities. For me, and it's always been like that. So I'm one of that generation who grew up with a black and white TV and got excited about the first Nintendos out there, and the first computer games. But technology for me always been something that enriched my life. Instead of spending 50 hours in the library, which I still enjoy, I can just pick up my phone and do a similar type of search and read, and everything is at my fingertips. So technology enriches lives, and we need to recognize that. So for me, Gen AI is about how will the Gen AI capabilities and how will, as ServiceNow progresses with their Gen AI capabilities, will enrich the life of those who will use it or those who will be in the receiving end. So what does that mean for me? I want to see, and I look forward to see more and more practical use cases where the Gen AI capability has been used for something really intelligent and really clever, something that will make your everyday life easier. So, and here's the best part. ServiceNow is not that technology which is in the forefront of everybody's minds. When I try and explain my job to friends and family, they're like, what? They don't, and I think it will be always there, hidden in the background, out, in that sense. But you may just pick up your phone and you place a coffee order, and without realizing that coffee order went through in the background on a ServiceNow platform where an intelligent assistant supported you. You could be traveling. You could be, I don't know, checking in for a hospital appointment. You could be doing any kind of everyday activity, or as an employee looking into changing your holidays. And that could be something that an intelligent assistant with a Gen AI capability can help you to enrich your life to do something easier and better. We are very far away from intelligent robots taking over. So I have zero fear that how it will go.
That was going to be my next question. It's funny because if I was to speak to, again, friends about AI and what it means to them, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm really scared. What's AI going to do? And, how is it going to affect jobs, etc. But as you've said, it really just adds to everything. And we're using all of it already without even realizing on a day-to-day. So it's exciting, more than scary.
I agree. And I think people often forget that AI is as smart as humans make it. There is also this ongoing scary conversation when AI can turn racist, when AI can turn into a woman hater. But it all comes out from the behaviors of humans, the data humans use, the programming language, the information, we call it self-learning, but self-learning will only self-learn if you nudge it along and feed the right information.
If you teach it.
So what do we teach our children? What do we teach our Gen AI child? How do we nurture it, right? It can turn into anything.
Yeah, it's a funny way to look at it, isn't it? Like a child that we're teaching along the way. Well, Andrea, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you, first of all, but also to be able to put this episode together with you. So thank you so much for joining our Women in ServiceNow series.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And look forward to the next episodes with other exciting guests.
Definitely. Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.